listening to Not On The Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. You can check us out at Facebook, check us out at YouTube, check us out at Rumble. Also check out our content over at Twitter. Got an interesting update interview for you with Mr. Jamey Spears. Last time we saw you, man, you were dialed in on the petition, and you were getting folks were coming around asking questions.
A lot.
How's things been going since then?
Awkward, uphill in the mud, and convoluted at best.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly. The thing is that we have been trying to go about this in a peaceable manner, as to where we're just trying to address it for the voice of the people. Unfortunately, we seem to be the ones that are the spearhead of it. We're not trying to do this because we really want to be doing this. We feel that we need to be doing this.
Okay.
The reason that we need to be doing this is because the ordinance proposal 2308 is an outright violation of people's civil liberties and their rights to their property within the citizenry of the Newton area, Newton city limits. Yeah.
All right, so you're saying it's a violation
Of civil liberties, yes.
What would you say is the violation?
Well, the violation is that this is a small little country town out in the middle of the woods. There's 2,003 people by our census numbers, and we're trying to go at it with big city politics that we don't need here in this little town. Reason I say that is that of course you need ordinance and stuff like that, but why are you going to come at people who have been living like this for so long? The way it is set right now, it is going to make people have to get rid of or euthanize their dogs that they've had for like 15 years. I've had some people telling me. And they're like, I am not putting down my dogs. I'm not getting rid of my family members. So that right there is the voice of being reverberated of the people, their opinions. All right. Okay. And I'm somebody who is very much in the rights of the people, and they need to be heard. What I have resoundingly experienced when the petition signings, which we had like 4 days that we were doing it, and we might have some more in the city park. The thing is that we had folks coming out there from all walks of life, representing themselves as the citizenry here in town, praising us and thanking us for our efforts of what we're doing here, because they feel that in this town people are not heard, and if you do speak up, then you're targeted. Okay, and I will explain to you that is an absolute fact, because we've experienced it ourselves.
What does that mean?
That means that we were in the first meeting that was taking place on this, the open meeting, the hearing, that is,
Yes.
And when we were there, after the meeting went, according to their plan. You have 5 minutes to speak. It's not interactive. There's no real felt camaraderie or effort between you and the council. It's just them talking to you, then you talk to them, and then they just do whatever they want. That's what it seems like. Okay. So after that, we were talking, and it was myself, and it was the mayor, and it was the assistant city administrator. And then also there was a few other council members there as well, and our city secretary. They were all there, and also our city administrator. They all were there privy for these conversations that took place in the meeting hall post the meeting. Okay. So
that's
everything was
in the first meeting?
Yes, the very first one.
All right.
This is how we were greeted. Okay. So so we were in there having a conversation, peaceably going along. And then that's whenever I felt a lot of aggravation and tension, seeing as how one of the individuals that was there was leaning in, posturing over me, and turning red in the face and furrowed brow, aggravated. And I'm like, well, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to intimidate me, and it's not working, for one. And for two, I don't appreciate it, because we're just actually trying to have a civil discussion here and get to the point of the matter. Right?
So you're saying that either someone in that list of people that you just listed was trying
Assistant city administrator.
Was trying to physically
intimidate
you.
Correct.
Okay.
It gets better.
Okay.
And here we go. So literally what took place is, and this is verbatim, and if anybody wants to say that this isn't the truth, I have no problem in validating that. I will go on a lie detector if they want to do that. If they want to perjure themselves, that would be fantastic to me. I do not care.
I don't think.
I know. Yeah. It's hypothetical. It's hypothetical.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the court of public opinion is way worse.
Right. Well, there was witnesses in there.
Sure.
Okay. A lot. Okay. So then it gets even better. I already tell them, and not only that, but whenever I'm voicing also what took place, I was voicing how I have been, people have come to me and what they have said, their opinions, the voice of the people, not mine, how they felt about their word here in this town as citizenry.
Right.
And they do not feel that they are respected whatsoever.
Okay.
Overwhelmingly, everyone says the same thing.
Okay.
So what comes into play is what really happened in that post meeting. I was sitting there explaining to the mayor and the assistant city administrator, and the council members were in there, et cetera, et cetera. I was talking about the hearts and mind of the impoverished within this town. People who do not have any money, less fortunate than others. And some of these folks that they were telling me their stories, that their animals are pretty much the only thing that they have that is making them happy. Their animals and taking care of their animals and nurturing for their animals are like taking care of their family members. They're feeling that they're fixing to have to get rid of or have their family members euthanized.
Is that outlined in this?
Oh yeah, well I spoke to them, and this gets way better.
Well, right, I get that part. I mean, it's always going to get better, right? But the 2308 specifically, is it calling for the euthanization of animals?
Get rid of? What does that mean? Like either you harvest them or somebody else.
How many are we talking about here?
Okay, well for one, your dog aspect. How many you can have?
Yeah, how many?
It's 4.
Okay.
Okay, and you can have either four dogs or 4 cats, or a combination of whatever equals up to that if you live in a single family dwelling.
Okay.
If you are in a multi-family dwelling, like say a party wall, like say HUD housing or something like that, or an apartment, then you share a wall, then it is actually only 2 that you can have, a dog or a cat, or a combination dog.
So a single family dwelling, you get 4. You basically get 4. You can have 4 cats and 4 dogs?
No,
or just
only
4
total.
Cats? Okay.
Yeah, you can only have 4 animals, period. Okay, that doesn't even matter if you have a fenced-in area or what, in your own property boundaries.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Right. Okay, that what that is stating is that you can only have that, period. Okay, well, my opinion is if you have you're a taxpayer in your town, this town, and then you have a fenced-in yard, and you let your dogs out in your fenced-in yard, and your dogs are not getting in, leaving your property, which I think that absolutely, if you're going to have animals, your animals must stay on your property.
Okay.
End of sentence of that. If you're going to own animals, you have to step up to the ownership.
Okay.
They can't be chasing traffic. They can't be running out the road. They can't be attacking people. They can't be going down the street and killing other people's animals and putting a life threat of humans. Okay. I am absolutely 100% in favor of the dog ordinance that we're going for. The dog ordinance, which actually... No, talking about the keeping your dogs within your property.
Okay.
I'm not in favor of them telling you how many you can have necessarily, but having 50 dogs that bark all night long, that is obviously a problem. Anybody would assess that is a problem.
Okay.
If you're going to have an animal and it's out barking at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and it barks like 15 to 18 hours out of the day, my advice is squirt it with a garden hose or smack it in the butt with a stick and tell it to be quiet, because that's your responsibility to maintain your animal towards not affecting others.
All right, so here's my question then. If we're talking about...
But actually I'm digressing because I really want to point out what took place in this meeting.
Go ahead and point out that.
Yeah. So as I'm expressing the hearts and the minds of the people that don't have a lot in this town, the mayor and the assistant manager kept laughing, and y'all know you did. Kept laughing about it whenever I would express these things. And I told them multiple times, what are you laughing about exactly? What is humorous to you about me sharing the hearts and the minds of the people in this citizenry that you represent? What is funny about them not having, them being impoverished or whatever? What is funny about that? I had to tell them that twice.
Do you think they were laughing at your content or just the way you were presenting it?
No, I think they were laughing at the content.
You think?
Oh yeah, because I called them down twice on it.
Okay,
and they kept doing the same thing.
You think that those two men were laughing at the fact that we have impoverished people in there?
In my own personal opinion, yes.
Okay. Well, that's your opinion.
Good. In my own personal opinion, yes.
So is that all that happened?
No.
Okay.
So then I said, okay, well, we got past that point where he was not intimidating us anymore, as to say. And I moved on from that because I said, let's just have a decent conversation here. Let's just talk this out as men here, and get this clarified.
Okay.
We're just trying to have an open meeting between us.
And this is post-meeting?
Post-meeting, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not open, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyways, just having a conversation, try to get everybody heard on paper, as to say. And I said the one thing that has empowered me the most about this and how I feel that my efforts are now important, because I feel that I am actually trying to help people who do not feel that their voice is heard speak up.
Okay.
And I told them, I said, I've had little old ladies come out here and hug me around the neck in 104-degree temperature and tell me, thank you so much for doing what you're doing and being brave enough to step up. Y'all doing something about this, because no one has listened to what the people say in this town for a long time. And that if you do, you're going to be targeted or not taken seriously. That's when the assistant city administrator stuck his finger in my face here in the meeting room there in the city hall, stuck his finger in my face at loud, full volume, red in the face, furrowed brow, screamed at me, "You're a liar, that's a lie." I said, "You are way out of line. There's no point for this, and I don't know where you're coming from, and I don't appreciate it, and I am not lying. I'm telling you the truth."
Okay.
My friend at that point in cohort in this, Aaron Fowler, he said, "No, man, he is not lying. He's telling the truth." Then that's when that same person stepped forward, stuck his finger in his face the same way, and screamed at him, "You're a liar, that's a lie, that's a lie."
Okay. So it got heated.
They got heated.
No, I'm just asking.
We were cool.
There was emotion.
Yeah. But for what reason?
How did it end?
It ended. Well, Aaron took offense to that, of course. He left the building.
Okay.
I stayed behind and talked to him, and I said, "See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. People do not feel that they can come in here and speak to you, because if they do, you'll be treated like this."
Okay.
And I said, "This is the problem." And now it has reared its ugly head and made itself obvious.
Okay.
And so now, at this point in time, knowing that is firsthand affirmated for how the folks in this town feel that they are represented, then I know that to be factual, because it happened to us firsthand.
Okay.
We were just trying to have just an open, clear, calm talk.
But how did it end?
It ended with, I'd say damage control.
Let me ask you.
I'd say it was damage control.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it was damage control.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, Donnie Meeks actually, he went and talked to Aaron outside.
Right.
And he told him, hey, sorry about that. The fellow's young, et cetera, et cetera.
Which he is.
Yeah. Yes, but the position that you're trying to acquire, you can't act that way.
Well, the position he's currently in is an assistant position.
Well, that's only just the preliminary. I mean, there's no.
I understand that, but I'm talking about without squinting our eyes and imagining something. The position he's in is an assistant.
Sure, correct.
And so in that process,
my opinion is uncalled for. Period. In the sentence. That's it.
Well, my question is, how did it end?
Well, the question, the answer to that is that Donnie had talked to Aaron. Aaron come back in the building, and then actually the assistant city administrator came in, and he said, I said, "Are y'all going to be able to get along? Did y'all fix that outside?" And they said, "Yeah, we talked about it." But after the fact,
Aaron and the assistant
yes, talked about that. Okay. Now, me personally, I have never been eased from that.
Okay, so there was no apology or nothing like that?
No, I basically just, okay, let's move forward.
Okay. So what would ease you from that?
Nothing at this point.
Okay. All right. So that was that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The last one I went to, I spoke out. That was the one that was
is that the third one or the second one?
That's the second.
Second one.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on that one, then I spoke out and I publicly stated the facts that I felt that was not handled properly.
Okay.
Because in an interview that an individual did with you,
talking about the mayor.
Yeah, the mayor.
Yeah.
He basically said everything went fine and no one had come forward with any kind of complaint about this. Well, they know we've been also trying to get a petition, going, and we had already had that meeting that went previously that way. He said that meeting went fine, everything was well, there was no problems in that. Well, that did not happen. I don't think that how we were treated at the end of that meeting, I don't think that went well or fine.
Okay.
I don't think anybody with any rationality would assume that went well or fine.
Okay. At the same time, he did make a reference to the fact that in order to present something to city council, it needed to be written.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he did do that.
In that podcast.
Now here we have it.
Okay.
He said no one had come forward. We have tried to, and I heard Aaron reference earlier, but he could validate this as well. That we did try to submit our amendments about a week and a half repeatedly prior to what was going to be the meeting on the 22nd.
Okay.
Then we had this other meeting that popped up, and so I said, well, we have to get that in. I was busy, I couldn't, so Aaron actually went down, and then that's whenever he got to speak with the city administrator, which is Donnie Meeks.
All right, let me ask you this.
We were ignored for a week and a half.
When you say you were ignored,
no callback, no return.
Who did you speak to at the city?
We spoke to his secretary.
His secretary. Okay.
The city secretary.
The city secretary.
Yeah, the people that give him his information.
Okay.
In City Hall.
Okay. So that's who you talked to. Okay.
Allegedly, and left voicemail.
Okay.
For him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Left voicemail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else about the meetings you want to talk about? Because I'm ready to get back to the ordinance.
Yeah, right. I hear you. Well, the thing is that in my opinion, they basically showed how they act.
Okay.
And then that kind of draws a line in the sand of, okay, what actions need to be taken? Who are you actually dealing with? What is the points of view of the people that you're actually dealing with? I think that my own personal opinion, I think that the interest of the people, the citizenry here, the taxpayers of Newton, honestly, isn't valued all that greatly.
All right, so let me ask you this. In that meeting, the said meeting, where motions got hot after the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the meeting, correct?
One-sided emotions got hot.
I'm
Now, I need to
just
make
saying,
that clear.
Yeah, you're abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Who all, do you vouch for everybody who's signed the petition?
Vouch for.
Vouch for.
Meaning like all the names that are on the list?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They were legit. Everybody came out in the hot sun and signed.
All right. All right. So let me ask you this. Were some of those people in that meeting?
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
All right.
Yeah, I saw
So then here's my question. Because we want to act like this is one-sided, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But there was emotions already stirred up in the meeting where some folks left kind of either cursing under their breath or over their breath. I don't know which one it was because I wasn't there.
Oh, it said...
But I'm just asking. No, wait a second. I'm just asking you to verify that there were some emotions that was already present.
But not by anyone that was privy to signing the actual petition, no.
Privy to signing the actual petition?
Yes, no.
Was it a person having to do with stopping the chicken ordinance?
I'm not understanding the clarity.
Okay. Was somebody coming to talk about the ordinance? And did they get heated and leave the location?
Oh, I do believe a gentleman did.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there was already...
Yes,
so
I was saying it wasn't us, but I mean, a gentleman did.
What I'm saying is that us is a wide, sweeping...
We're just representing the citizenry. We're not representing ourselves individually.
I understand. At the same time, so if we're going to say, on one hand, that there was no emotions, that's not necessarily true. There was some in the camp on y'all side that left the meeting.
Well...
Am I right about that?
The thing is that...
Is that true?
Yes. But the thing is that those are people's rights and feelings. That's not us. And that's them that make their own decisions.
I understand that, but at the same time,
they feel
you didn't throw a fit. Is what?
No, absolutely not. No, we tried to
But because everybody was coming together, and we're talking about this ordinance, some emotions were heated up during the meeting, and that ended up later on being reciprocated by some city leadership.
Out of context to ours, yeah. I mean, we weren't the ones that were, we weren't the ones involved in that. So yeah.
Right, but it looks like an army coming to the match, right? So I mean, if you think about it in context, because if you're going to have a meeting, this is just me. I'm just a jackass redneck out here. Okay.
I don't think you're a jackass, Jay. I think you're a good guy.
But at the same time, if I'm going to show up to a meeting, okay, and I've got two people with me, and we're going to be talking about something that is current on the hot topic.
Yes.
And then we start stirring up and talking to other folks and getting people involved, and then some of those folks show up to the meeting, and then next thing we know, all hell breaks loose and some of those folks leave. Yeah, they're operating within their rights. But at the same time, for us to sit here and just honestly say that emotions were not high before we got to the post-meeting meeting, that'd be an overstatement. Would we agree? Is that it? I mean,
sure, I would say that, but like I say, it was not us that were the ones that were upset.
When you say us, that's too broad of an idea.
It was not us participants. It was not myself or Aaron Fowler that was aggravated.
Gotcha.
We were just trying to have a civil, normal conversation, and we were basically verbally and also, I would say, intimidationally. I mean, what would you say if somebody sticks their finger in your face and yells at you and calls you a liar for just simply telling a story?
Well, I'll be honest with you, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're after.
Yeah.
If I had a guy, this is no joke. If I had a guy going around town calling what I'm trying to do at the city, if I worked at the city, communist rule, and this is how it starts, and they're coming for you, and they're taking away all your rights, and it starts with chickens. I would immediately be on guard when we get into a face-to-face meeting with those folks. I would immediately be on guard, just simply for the fact that I don't know whether or not I need to shake your hand or choke slam you when I see you. You see what I mean? And I'm just saying this is just a jackass speaking.
Yeah, but the thing is that people who put themselves in positions or appointed in positions.
He was hired for that position.
You know, or in positions.
Okay.
Then they must hold themselves to a higher caliber than the people they're representing.
Agreed 100%, but you also know as well as I do that the city has a lot of employees.
And by the way, I think that the city works. All you guys out there that are actually working for the city, coming to take care of our electricity, taking care of our sewer problems, taking care of our water problems, taking care of storms, taking care of all things like that. Kudos, man. Y'all do a great job. And I also think I want to give a shout out that Joey Miller. I mean, Joey Miller is a great guy, in my honest opinion. And I think that in and of this, that man is still cordial to me. He still shakes my hand and is still pleasant. And I don't mean to throw you under the bus by saying that you're actually nice to me, but I do appreciate you, and I appreciate how the city works and the volunteer fire department and everybody in this town and our law enforcement. I appreciate how all of them operate.
Right. Now, having said all that, they have to have management on some level. It's not like
proper management.
It's not like it just all happens,
yeah.
Right? And it's not like, there's a wizard who's behind the curtain, and we've got the Oz that shows up, right?
Or is there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's these days that's a real out there question.
Well, but my thing is this: when some of the rhetoric that's being perpetuated is inflammatory, and then you get in a meeting now, and I'm saying from your side, some of your rhetoric has been inflammatory, and specifically to the people that it was directed to, for them to just act like you are not a threat in any way, shape, or form, and this situation is not potentially a threat in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely not a threat, just a concerned citizen.
Okay, so could it be that maybe tensions weren't visibly hot from their end during the meeting, but they still don't know whether or not you guys are friendlies or not. All they know is you guys, instead of coming down and talking to them, you got together at a petition, got the petition together and got down there at the park and started huddling up a bunch of folks with army hats and all kind of stuff. Okay, just saying, just throwing it out
Well,
here.
I mean, it doesn't make any difference what people would wear. I mean, you know, like if people want to come up dressed in military attire, or, I mean, you got. I mean, that's. You know how many veterans showed up to talk to us and stuff, and old people. Yeah, it's like.
Hold up. I'm not saying anything about the military.
Yeah, because that's not
saying,
cool. Yeah,
but what I'm saying, and you already know that. You don't even have to check me on that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Definitely not.
So let's make that clear.
Okay.
Not checking nobody.
Okay.
Okay. But the fact of the matter is, when you're talking inflammatory language, okay, and some of the things you said were inflammatory, and some of the things that was being communicated was inflammatory because you guys were pissed about the first ordinance, okay, about the first language, the language of the ordinance.
We're not going to go into that, but that was also tried to move through under covert action.
Okay. In which way?
To protect people at this point. It was tried to be ushered through without going out through the public.
So that's something nobody can prove.
Oh, it can be proven, and we've all talked about it. But I'm trying to protect people right now.
Okay. So you feel like for a city to have 3 open meetings for the public to come and communicate. You don't feel like that was the city's attempt, especially whenever they did make the effort to try to accommodate different work schedules. 5:30, 10 o'clock, I think. What was the other one? Was it 2:30 or something like that?
Well, you could ballpark that all you'd want, but honestly, that's not. I mean, if you're going to try to get the most people there that would want to show up, I mean, why not make it like about 5 o'clock every day or 6 or whatever?
Well, they've got the 22nd at 5:30.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
so I mean, what I'm saying is,
I don't think their best intentions were laid in that. Honestly, period. I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. Yeah. So having said that, let's get back to the ordinance.
Yes.
Okay? All right. So talking dogs.
Yes.
All right. 4 dogs or 4 cats or some amalgamation of the 4.
Yeah.
But 4.
Yeah.
Okay. My question is this: there's a lot of people in this community, okay, who don't have fences. Matter of fact, you could probably drive around and count them on 2 hands. Maybe 2 dozen, maybe a dozen. I'm just being fair. So if you have folks, and I'm asking you this because I like in asking Aaron his ideal situation as far as the dogs go. If you're city management out here and you got folks who have, say, 10 dogs and they don't have a fence, how do you see in an ideal situation that being regulated?
Well, that is the double-edged sword.
Okay.
And I get where you're coming from on it, but
I mean, it's just an obvious question.
The thing is that in that regard, it's ownership. I mean, if you're going to have animals,
right,
you must take care of your animals.
Right.
Your animals are not other people's problem.
Sure.
Your animals are, and so at that point in time, if you're not putting the steps forward to take care of your animals on your property and keep them on your property, then that is your problem, not the neighborhood's problem.
Right.
And so if you have an allotment of dogs and you let them run amok all night long,
right,
predating other people's animals,
right,
and potentially even harming citizenry,
right,
then that is a problem. And I think that is a civil situation that should be accomplished by a civil complaint and then go through, that way.
So I guess my question then is this: in order for that civil situation to go down,
right,
to actually have an ordinance that represents the current administration, right, of the city,
right,
is that not relevant?
It is relevant.
Okay.
It is relevant, and but the thing is in my opinion, okay, sure, this is just opinions, which this country is founded on it, yeah, and we still do have those rights these days, believe it or not. So in and of that, it's like having children. I mean, you need to be able to provide. You need to be able to take care of. I mean, sure, I mean, come on, Right. And if you're going to go and I am a big advocate, and also, folks, have your pets spayed and neutered.
Okay.
I mean, Bob Barker. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is that you must have your own level of accountability.
Right. Now, at the same time, though, specific to children, if you have parents who aren't accountable, there is a policing agency that will hold
Correct.
you accountable.
CPS, yes. Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
they have laws that they have to abide by. And those laws are set up specifically to deal with people who don't want to be accountable.
Right, right.
Can we
And
agree
what you have there again for the Humane Society, stuff like that. So, I mean, we are opposed animal cruelty.
Okay.
Definitely opposed to animal cruelty. We are opposed to people letting their animals run around in neighborhoods and be other people's problems.
Okay.
Okay? Absolutely 100%. Something does need to be done. We're not saying that. But coming at it in a full blanket to where you can't have a rabbit, you can't have a chicken, you can't have a turkey, you can't have a rooster. All of you just can't have it.
Right.
That's not proper or fair.
Okay.
So we are not saying that all the parts of the ordinance are bad.
Okay.
And we're wanting to work with the city council and the city managers to make it to where it is pleasant for all,
Gotcha.
not just for them. And not only that, but I've stated this because the mayor of our town said that I went forth and found the most strictest regulation that I could find in the state of Texas to put on the books here in Newton.
Which was a specific town just like Newton.
Right, right.
Canton's not large.
No, but
I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to Canton.
Canton is more than a flea market.
Right, yeah. But the thing is that has obviously been something that spilled over and boiled over in their situation, so therefore, why does it need to spill over and boil over into us? Why can't we come to a more of a hearts and minds kind of concept here, and instead of going and just blanket ruling over everybody and saying that everybody cannot have, versus just back up and think about it and go, okay, well, how can we draft this better? Or even better yet, draft your own. Instead of copying and pasting someone else's.
All right.
Okay, that would be the best thing to have done, would be get with the hearts and minds of the people here, have an open meeting like that, like we had for the hearings.
3 of them, right?
Yeah, hearings. But it's so one-sided. It's so one-sided.
Okay.
Whenever you talk to them up there, there's like...
But let me ask you this. Your own guy, Aaron, said that he took his own list up there to the manager.
Yeah.
And in that process, the manager walked through the process with him, took notes, and started making some amendments or some changes to that ordinance.
The thing is that quite honestly, and
is that true?
I was grumbling at Aaron about it because but the thing is, no.
That's not true.
He did take it in there and do that. But what really did happen is the only thing that they really matched or even gave us anything over was our clerical things that we pointed out in there about how a person of sensible reasonability, okay, that needs to be stricken from it and be the complainant of civil complaint. Which they did do that.
Okay.
They did do that. They still, and y'all still didn't take out 50 per PERCENT. I just laughed about that. It's still
so
on.
You went to them with clerical grammar issues.
Yes, pretty much. I mean, because the thing is that it was writ in a manner that was not. It was so vague. Okay. I mean, what is a person of reasonable sensibility? Who defines that? So they did do that,
right?
And kudos to that.
Gotcha.
But then they came back with, instead of what y'all really wanted, the meat of what y'all were asking about. And not only that, but, so 500 feet of your property, let's go ahead and extrapolate that to where you can understand it. 500 feet measures out to 166 yards.
Okay.
If you don't know what 166 yards, that is somebody like almost a quarter of a mile away from your house, that can complain about your property.
Okay.
It's not and what we put in there that we wanted to have was that everything would be done on a shared borders complaint to the property.
Gotcha.
Like your immediate neighbors would be the ones to register the complaint.
So basically, like if a dog's here barking on my property, my next door neighbor can file the complaint.
Absolutely.
But if I have 10 dogs and they're not fenced in, then the neighbor down the way who's getting attacked can't file a complaint.
No, I want that.
Okay.
Because there again, your animals are leaving the property. Okay, those animals will be leaving your property.
Right.
If you're going to have your animals on your property, your animals need to stay on your property because your animals are not everybody else in the
Are you in
neighbor's
favor
property.
of the non-tethering?
Well, the thing is in a sense,
Okay.
but then that goes into what would actually be animal abuse if it be to an overage. Okay, and then that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
All right, negligence and animal abuse.
Right.
Okay, now if you're going to tie your dog up out there and it's going to bark for 18 hours of the day
Right.
in the hot sun, then that is the owner that needs to address that. And there is that should be covered by a dog ordinance, not necessarily what they're drafting from Canton, but a dog ordinance that would address nuisance animal
All right.
barking. And so we do appreciate that.
Have you looked at the comparison between the actual Canton ordinance and what you currently have as of today?
No,
So
I don't have. I don't live in Canton. I don't have it.
Right, but it's all accessible online. I mean, this is not.
I'm not worried about that because
All I'm saying is-
it came from there and
All I'm
they
saying
cut and
is-
pasted it. Yeah.
All I'm saying is,
Yeah.
the question would be, how much different from Canton is it really? Because if it is the strictest,
No.
then I guess that's really the question.
Yeah.
So far as chickens go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of finding some level of commonality or common ground, rather, as far as the dogs go.
Yes. Yes.
Because I'll be honest with you, my mother lives in Hardin County. Okay, she lives in the city limits of Silsbee.
Right.
Next door, there was a dog breeder next door that raised some sort of freaking dog that wouldn't shut the hell up. Okay, and there was like 20 of them back there. Okay, no recourse. Bark 24/7. No recourse. There's a recourse that I suggested, but she didn't feel like it was the proper solution to the problem. But to me, in that situation here, I mean, are we still talking about fences? Are we still talking about tickets? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, for one, you need to have an enclosure for your animal. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever be, you need to take in consideration the welfare of that animal. Okay.
Okay.
Period. Also, neat factoid, people of the citizenry of Newton. Okay. There was a situation where Hope for Paws was in our city was going to work together, and $15,000 of your taxpayer money was put forth to help them out, a private entity, out at the old prison.
It's actually a nonprofit, but
A private entity, not associated with the city, and we invested $15,000. So
But nothing came of that.
No, it's done, and that equipment is sitting out there in the prison, cages, kennels, et cetera, et cetera. I brought it to the city council. Why not make lemonade out of lemons? Okay, why not us go ahead and utilize that's already gone through,
Okay.
and make that happen and just turn that into our animal control?
Right.
Absolutely not. No, shot down. They have no kind of idea that you want to think about that.
Okay. All right. So,
They want to hear it.
From what I understand, the situation with Hope for Paws got.
They left with the
Emotional.
money is vested. The stuff's there, from what I understand.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
what I guess my logical thought process on this is, if the people who are dealing with the dogs and the animals leave, there's no one to actually pick that up. So you had this entity come in that's no longer here, correct? They're no longer here.
Yeah, they're part.
They're gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they brought up a great idea,
And
but
they
it
bounce
wasn't.
out.
But it wasn't a great idea because they. Yes. Do we need a pound around here? Yes.
Yeah.
The county actually is responsible to do that. I think.
That's a city. It'd be a city.
Yeah, I think there's money set aside specifically on the county side.
Oh. I wouldn't know. I mean, honestly, I don't.
To me, I'm sitting here going, okay, we've got the issue here in Newton, right?
Right.
So, if the people who have been working on behalf of trying to get something set up, jet, after you've already purchased all the stuff, you're kind of sitting there holding the bag,
Right.
and you don't have any hands to fill it.
We should do something about it.
Okay.
We should utilize that.
What do you think they ought to do about that?
I think that we keep hearing about how we don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. It's a dog catcher. People in this town want to work.
Dog
Just get them a
catcher.
little bit of training.
Okay.
Let them get certified for doing. I'm not a dog catcher. I don't know how dog catchers' credentials are.
Right.
But I get them some way to where they are set up to have it. We need to have a animal control officer. We need to have a dog catcher.
Which would be a dog catcher, right?
Yeah, correct.
Animal control officer.
Yeah.
And then what happens to the dogs once you caught them?
Well, then they go to that spot out there that's already set up that there's $15,000 worth of our taxpayer money invested in cages and kennels
Okay. And
that belong to us, the city.
Who takes care of them on the daily?
That would be the representation of the people who are hired to do it. We need to hire them. We need to spend the money, and we need to hire
So
them.
you think maybe 3 or 4 people?
I don't think it would have to be very large.
Okay.
Probably 3 people.
Yeah,
We got 4 law enforcement that takes good care of our town. So
Right.
why not just set aside? It's not like it's going to be a get rich position.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it could be feasibly done,
Right.
and it should be done logically. See, they're just coming at us with regulations and no fix, no idea for a fix.
The city is.
Yeah, no plan. They're
Okay.
telling law enforcement to go out there and I'm not saying anybody about it, no, but I know some of the guys, all right, and all of them are like, we don't want to have to do that. We're law enforcement. That's not the forte as a Texas peace officer to go and take people's dogs and then euthanize them, if you have too many or whatever, or if you catch them running around. That is not what those guys, those people are hired to do. That's not their job specifically.
So-
we need to go ahead and make it right. If we're going to do this, the city needs to make it right. We need to use that equipment that we've already invested in.
Does the state require a facility to hold them in?
Sure, but how many buildings we have in this town? You don't think we couldn't contribute one of them?
I have no idea.
I know the school owns a lot of property and a lot of
Well,
buildings, so maybe they could come up with one.
But at the same time, I also understand that we have a jail right here north of town that can't be used as a prison right now because it doesn't meet regulations.
Right.
So my question is,
The dog thing. Why not
the
use
dog-
it?
all I'm saying is, are there regulations that are specifically associated with, because we don't know the certifications on an animal control guy, right?
I don't know that.
So if we don't know that, then we probably don't know what the regulations are as to
Sure.
housing dogs
Sure.
or cats
Sure,
or whatever
sure,
we find, right?
sure. But the thing is that if we're going to do it, say everything goes through 2308 goes through. People are still going to have their dogs running amok, attacking. I personally have had to euthanize 3 dogs off of my property in the early AM hours.
Right.
One had got in my chicken pen, which is pretty impenetrable, but ate through the wire, and had killed 8 of my birds before I could get out there at about 3:20 a.m. To euthanize that dog in my pen.
Right.
I had to shoot it in my pen because I didn't know if it was rabid or what.
Right.
So I fired through and in to safely, I shouldn't have to be doing that.
Right.
People should take care of their animals. They should take care of their dogs.
Right.
It's your responsibility. You're going to own an animal, that's your responsibility. It's not the neighborhood's responsibility.
Right. Okay. So having said that, do you believe that the way the ordinance has been outlined as it pertains to turning some of the power back over to the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and also having stipulations in the ordinance that a civil disagreement can be settled by
Mm-hmm.
in this ordinance,
Mhm.
do you feel like that is the smartest way to go?
I think it's a step in the right direction. It needs some refinement.
Okay.
How about that?
So maybe the refinement needs to be, because in what you initially said, most of what you guys took had to do with clerical elements.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
But we did address those other ones, like, it needs to be addressed, someone who is directly adjacent to the complainant complaining. Having somebody that just particularly doesn't like an individual or doesn't like how that person lives or something like that, just drive down the street that lives like blocks away from them, just goes by, and then I'm complaining about these people.
I got you.
Okay, that's not your absolute immediate problem.
Right.
Your neighbor that is adjacent to that property, that should be the complainant.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So we spoke after you viewed my interview with the mayor.
Yes, sir.
And my take off of that conversation was that you was a little bit irritated with because you had mentioned, Jay, I understand you have a political role here or a role here in the community to kind of keep things level. And you spoke.
I think you do a good job of nonpartisan representation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you do a good job.
Okay, but you seem like that interview irritated you a little bit. Tell me why.
Because there was actually statements they made that were not factual. In that interview, the city mayor, he said that everything went fine in the first meeting and all went well, et cetera, et cetera. Well, like I say, and like I said earlier stated, the event that took place where we were screamed at and yelled at and pointed in the face, that's not well. that did not go
right.
well.
But he didn't bring that up, nor the people who left cursing at the event either.
Well, I mean, like I say, that's those. Anybody has a right to represent themselves and they want. Now, I think that if you're going to come to an open public setting like that people should, kind of think about it. But I'm not the regulator on those folks. I mean,
I understand.
If they get heated, that's their own emotions. That's none of my business.
Nobody said that was the case. All I'm saying is he didn't reference either points. He didn't reference either side of the situation. He just said he felt like there was no one brought anything to them.
Yeah, right.
And that's whenever I asked him
but we were, and they knew we were. They knew. Yeah, they knew.
They knew you were bringing a petition.
Yeah. They knew that we were working on things, okay, and we were, and what he actually gave us the opportunity. Now, this is what aggravated me about that interview.
Okay.
He said, "Hey, you guys sit down and write up your amendments."
Right.
And this is after everything was healed.
Sure.
Ish. From the outburst that was unsatisfactory. So basically, he said, "Y'all write down what y'all want to do, what you'd like to see us to do." And then y'all bring it to us, and then we'll go through them. And I said, that is a good plan. We'll do that. We did that.
Okay.
We wrote up the amendments that we would like to have, brought into there. And they basically, to the largest extent, the meat of it was ignored. And then actually, instead of being in favor of what we were going to do, it actually was less than in favor of what we were wanting.
And you're referring to the transition, or the change from the 8 per.
Yeah, and everything that we had addressed in there is that all of these things need to be handled on a civil complainant level,
right,
neighbor to neighbor.
But you do have to have the law that stands. Right.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, they have to kind of put that in there, in order to.
But a noise ordinance complaint or that's sufficient.
A noise ordinance.
I mean, like if you have,
is that noise ordinance complaint? Is that going to address the civil situation that you would have been in with that dog climbing through? It wasn't a noise.
No.
Chickens.
But of course, guess what? The dog did not have any tags or any kind of marking on it. No one come forth.
But what I'm saying is, a noise ordinance just doesn't fix the dog situation. It could very well.
Yeah.
So they were trying to outline the rules and then leave it up to the neighborhood. Is that kind of what we're saying? Or is that kind of the thought process?
But then they have 500 feet of your property boundaries. Okay. There again, that's 166 yards. That somebody completely disassociated from the immediate situation can be the one that is the complainant.
Okay.
Not in favor of that.
Gotcha. Okay. So are you in favor of the 12 hens, 1 rooster?
I think that, okay, now let me point something out here.
Because that's what Aaron referenced.
Right. Yeah. Let me point something out here. This is my personal view of it. This is my personal view of it.
Okay.
We're hearing that you can only have so many animals per so much acreage.
Right.
All right. You're not allowed to free range your chickens. It says completely in the ordinance that you must keep them in a pen.
Right.
What does how many acres have to do with how many birds you keep in a pen?
Okay.
Duh. what is the sustainability value of that? Why are they saying so many per an acre when you're not allowed to have your animals free range on acreage?
Gotcha.
Even if it's fenced in,
Right.
you're not supposed to allow them to free range to where they could fly over your fence and go and bother somebody else or
Right.
tear up their garden or whatever,
Right.
or cause some neighbor a problem.
Right.
So, in what the thing is that you can have a lot of birds in like a 20 by 20 pen, a lot, and they are perfectly fine in there because birds fly, they get up on things, I mean, so they're not all on one plane.
Yeah.
And not saying this is anything to go by, but if you go by any kind of farmer or any kind of person that grows poultry, they're stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that.
Right.
But to have, for somebody in sustainability value,
right.
to have up to 60 birds, that's not necessarily unheard of.
Okay.
Because if you're going to be feeding off of those birds, you're going to be eating them. Unfortunately, due to heat, and I've been doing everything I can, I've lost 4 birds this week to heat predation. It's just, you can't help it.
Right.
And birds die. Chickens die, man. They just die sometimes. You can take as best care as you want of them, and you'll go out there and like, what happened here? They can get an egg broke inside of them, et cetera, et cetera. Just birds just die. That's why they have such a high reproduction rate.
Sure.
Not only that, but if you're eating the animals and it actually is hand to mouth, like you're actually needing that to feed your families, that's also something that I've addressed. If you're needing that to feed your families or to have eggs,
right.
That rooster mixed in there, that enhances, say, egg production, and then not only that, but it keeps the hens under check. It's a natural environment for them,
right.
And then not only that, but it also teaches children animal husbandry without actually having to be involved in 4-H or FFA.
Right.
That's not the only way that kids should learn. You should learn it at home too. How every day you need to take care of an animal. This is how you take care of it.
So I'm hearing a lot. Okay, but what I'm hearing is, what's the solution, or what I'm processing is,
what's the solution
to the chicken thing? What makes you go away? That's my question.
Well, decency on behalf of the city officials.
Okay.
To be able to sit down and come to a rational, logical means of talking.
But what is that?
What is that?
What is that for the chickens? We'll just go with chickens.
Okay.
We already talked about the
Okay. Well, the thing is that there's sustainability values of you can only have so much birds per acre is ridiculous. It's null and void.
What should it be?
Honestly, if you're taking care of your birds and you're taking care of them and your neighbor isn't complaining, it's nobody's business.
Okay.
Nobody's business.
Okay.
Really. Now, honestly, in my own opinion, yet again, if you got like 1,000 birds in a pen, for one, that's animal cruelty. It's neglect. If they're all in a small pen and they're like jumping on top of each other.
So you just have as many birds as you want if you have the property.
Mm-hmm. I think you ought to also be able to have. You ought to be able to have your rabbits. I think you also be able to have like a goat or a sheep if you have like an acre or something like that. I think you should be able to have that. I think you ought to be able to have your pets as long as your pets stay on your property. And I think that if they are not, then you should be fined.
There you go. So that's the solution.
Yeah.
Okay. That's simple enough.
But there is a way to come across it versus, in how I feel, bully pulpit / bothering us about this. That's how kind of what it feels like for us, and much less how the flashpoints that took place. Whenever I would refer to how the hearts and minds of the citizenry have conveyed themselves to us. Keep in mind, when you go to an elected position, you are working for those citizenry or that collective of your constituents. Mm-hmm. I heard them in the city council and city mayor, et cetera, refer to themselves in there collectively as the family. I corrected them. I said, you're not the family. Newton is the family.
Okay.
And you guys are here to work with them in their best interests at heart.
Right.
Now, if you have an overwhelming amount of folks, and the petition will be met, it will come through. I feel that they're not going to listen to anything right now. It's going to go on through. It's going to be posted. Pretty much, I think that happened the other day.
Okay.
all in favor, aye, and that's how it went, So I think that there was a lot of, patting on their own backs and stuff that took place. But that being said, I think they're going to push it through, usher it through, and that what we have been trying to say means nothing to them. They're pretty much aggravated to the point that we are speaking out.
Okay. Let me ask you this: what day did Aaron go?
That would have been Monday, the day before the meeting, because we had already been trying to get.
But wait a second.
What part?
What's the date?
Date?
Monday.
Monday, which was what was that?
This Monday?
Yeah.
So we're talking about
14th.
Yeah.
Would have been the 14th.
The 14th. Yeah.
So we're talking 4 days ago.
Uh-huh.
And
there's already the ordinance put out that you can go pick up.
The ordinance was just put out this morning.
Yeah, and
the revision that was as a result of what Aaron did.
Right.
Correct.
Or what he tried but was not heard.
First step. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because he did Aaron. So
if they're willing to work with us, we're willing to work with them. But this bully pulpit thing, it's not going to work. And intimidation, that's definitely not going to work.
Okay. Got anything else you want to put out?
God bless the people of the city of Newton. God bless the good people who do their job every day to make sure that we're taken care of in this city. Thank you so much, sir, for letting us come and talk.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's not on the payroll, baby.